Oh, anyway, you will enjoy it.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
for the next item regarding vocal,
Yeah.
you talk about visual, and now get into the second point is vocal.
Yeah.
So why is it important? Why vocal is important in communicating?
Yeah. Well, let's again just look at the tone of voice. If I say to you, so Peep, if I said, so the content will be, I am happy to be here today. That's the content. I'm happy to be here. But look at the way I could say this. I could say, yeah, I'm happy to be here. Or I could say, I'm really happy to be here. They communicate
So it
completely
has
different
different
things.
tone.
Yeah. In fact, they can even communicate the opposite, like I almost did right there. I remember watching a sporting event, and maybe I'm sure you have many viewers are sports fans, and you'll watch a game, and if your team lost, and sometimes they say, yeah, that was a really great game, wasn't it? Oh, great game. So you can literally communicate the opposite of what you're aiming to communicate. I mean, you could intentionally change, right? Like I just did. I really mean I didn't like the game, but I'm going to pretend it's a great game. I'm using those words. The problem is in presentations, a lot of times presenters are communicating the opposite of what they want to communicate simply because their voice is not resonating with the audience. They're saying things like, yes, I'm very, they're checking their script and they're saying things like, oh, it's wonderful to be here. It's, well, no, if it's wonderful to be here, use your voice to show that it's wonderful to be here, and use your voice to show what is important and what's not important in your talk. So we use all kinds of vocal techniques. We do this naturally in real communication when we're sitting around a dinner table with friends. We do this. In presentations, it becomes formalized, and people sometimes forget that they need to vary. The key word for vocal is variation. So we want to sometimes speak fast, sometimes slow down, sometimes with a high tone. Like when we really want to show we're excited and enthusiastic, we bring the volume up. We might speak a little faster, a little higher, but other times I want to show you that I'm a thoughtful person. So, yes, I've taken time to think about this. And vocal is a very important part of your communication. So remember that. See what I did? I bring it down, slow down, make the lower tone. We are all speaking with notes. So some people say they can't sing. Fortunately, most people can sing somewhat well, right? Karaoke is popular everywhere in Cambodia and Japan and in everywhere, right? Singing. But what we fail to recognize is that we are always
Yes.
speak when we speak, we're speaking notes. It's just like a song. So there are notes. You could find this note, no, we could go to a keyboard and find what's that note. Well, many people when they're giving a presentations, they stick to very narrow range of notes, and they are maybe even doing what we call monotone, where they keep speaking about the same pace and same tone and keep like that's just annoying. So we want to use notes. We use rests, right? In the music, there's a rest. It's like a pause. We also, if you think about songs that you love, they're not, except for rap music or hip hop, right? It's not all words, 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 words. There's music behind it, and sometimes there's time to let the music sink in. So we got to use things like our pace, pauses, um, and as I mentioned before, like the tone, all of these things, and you can work on them. You can prepare yourself by doing humming exercises. So you hum, you do this daily. I mean, it's a great exercise to get your range a little bit better, and your resonance. Resonance is that sound that matches what you are trying to communicate. So the voice is a very powerful instrument. I mean, it's the instrument we use. And back to why we go visual, vocal, verbal. I mean, if you think about communication in the whole animal kingdom and human evolution, right? First, we could see things. Oh, I can see that. I can see that. I can hear if that's a friend or a foe or a different animal, but I don't know what they're saying. And finally, at the end, I can think about what they're saying, and that's only humans that can catch thousands of words, right? So it gets much more complicated. On an emotional level, we respond first to very simple things like a smile or confidence with posture, how the person looks, and how you sound is the second way, how you communicate what you want to communicate. You can do this, by the way, if you want to check, watch a television program or a movie and sometimes turn the sound all the way off. That's interesting. You can still see how people are communicating or not. Another thing to do, you can go into a movie and watch in a completely foreign language and see how you can definitely catch the emotions being communicated, even though they aren't speaking Khmer or English or Japanese. So vocal is all about the voice. Yeah, what you're doing with your voice. Or, and another way to say this, again, I want to take the perspective of the audience. So it's, what does the audience hear? And one of the things I've seen people make mistakes on, this is one of the great things about the communication today with Zoom and WebEx or over the net. The great thing is that people in the audience can adjust the volume, right? They can decide, oh, he's a little bit loud or he's a little bit soft. That's fine. In the real world, a lot of times I've seen presenters stand in front of the room and they'll have a microphone available and they'll say, oh, wait a minute, I have a strong voice. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me in the back? And they point to the back and the person in the back says, not yet. Okay, I'll speak a little louder. Now can you hear me? Yes, they can hear you. But the person in the front is like this. It's like, this is so loud for the person in front. So unless you're in a theater that's made for actors to be speaking out from a stage and everyone can hear them, including the front, basically I recommend use the technology for a microphone if you have any more than 10 or 15 people in the room, not just so everyone can hear you, but again, so you can play with the dynamics. You can be soft. You can whisper. I can whisper into a microphone and somebody can hear me in the back of the room. So that's about what I have to say about vocal. Now, again, visual, especially if we look about the slides and we look about posture and practice, we can take a day just on visual. We can take certainly a day on vocal. I've taken a lifetime with vocal, right? I practice music. I think music is a wonderful tool. And as a singer, I use all of the same kind of techniques when I'm presenting in front of people.
Oh, that is why I saw your post on your playing guitar and other stuff, and also singing.
Yes.
Is it your kind of routine training for vocal?
Yes, it is exactly. I mean, it's a harsh kind of training. I mean, when I'm just having fun, that's fun. But when you're performing in front of a live audience and you're with a band and you're supposed to get the lyrics correct and you're supposed to be with the band and playing the right chords and doing everything, that can be a little bit more stressful than even presenting, because a lot of times people are so worried about the impact they're making. They are afraid of making a bad impact, right? People are afraid. I don't want to make a bad impact. So they make no impact. They take away all the emotion. And the way you make impact is with emotion. So yes, I really enjoy doing that with music, but it's more of a hobby. Occasionally can get paid for it.
Thank you much, Andrew, for sharing very good tips regarding how to get trained our voice, how to get ready with the vocal in the presenting to the audience. So the last part of CV is verbal. So can you give a brief on verbal? Why is it important? And how to get ready with verbal?
Yeah. So verbal. This is the thing that if you ask most people, if they have not studied the research or they have not really thought deeply about presentations. The verbal, that's the words that you're actually saying, right? Those are the words. You could say that's the content. So that's the script if you're using a script, or that's the outline if you're going by an outline, but it's the actual words that you are saying. And as I said, so Morabian's research showed this makes about 7% of the impact, right? And what he was specifically talking about is how likable you are as a presenter or in interpersonal communication. That 7% came from the words. And again, that really does make sense because the way you look and the way you sound while saying certain words makes a much bigger impact. We do an exercise where the content, again, is a simple content, but we change the emphasis of the words in a sentence to completely change the meaning of a sentence, but we still need to get the actual content. So if you're asked to speak, for example, I'm asked to talk to you today about the 3 V's, well, there has to be some content about the 3 V's, right? And that's when we're talking about that part, that's where I get into details about structure, okay, about the word choice, so choice of words, and where you're placing them in your presentation, which I guess is more about the structure again. I really have 2 things I like to say the most about this, although I turned it into 3. The reason I turned it into 3 is that's my first recommendation is use the power of 3. So if I have 3 points, it's going to make a bigger impact generally than 2 points or 1 point even, because I can make I can structure things in such a way, and if you listen to it, this is just natural. We have 3. The world is very much organized in 3s, and it's the strongest shape is a triangle, right? And the pyramids, if they're going 3-dimensional, it's triangle. We have traffic signals have 3 colors. If the Olympics ever come to Japan, I can't believe we're actually thinking about it. They're still talking about bringing the Olympics here this year, but you have gold, silver, and bronze, right? Children in English-speaking countries, they learn the ABCs. They don't learn AB or ABCDs. They learn the ABCs, and we say it's easy as ABC, 1, 2, 3. It just has a nice sound to it, so that's partly vocal, but it really does give us a strong base, like verbal, vocal, and visual. And especially if we can get the whole topic covered in 3. So I definitely recommend making 3. And by the way, when I say 3 points, I mean something sharp. A point is something sharp. So it's going to be the shortest, easiest way of getting that concept together. I don't want to talk about, let's talk about 3 ways of making impact in your presentations or your writing. So first, I'm going to talk about the way that you use your words and the vocalization. But no. We got to bring it down to, and even recently, I've started to think about, okay, from the audience perspective, it's what I'm saying, what they're hearing, and so how it sounds, right? Say, sound, and see. Say, sound, see. That's even better than verbal, vocal, visual, because verbal, vocal, visual, those are longer words. See, say, and sound, right? That's even quicker. So I might eventually get to that point, but we want to have power of 3. Second is it's a concept that I learned from the Heath brothers. They wrote a book called Made to Stick. Why some ideas people can remember, but other ones they don't. And they gave a nice little formula called success. Success is SUCCES. They only put 1 S at the end. And it stands for simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional, and stories. So it's 6 different items in that second thing that I'm talking about, right? So, but keeping in mind, how do I get my story?
And
What's that?
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
What a
I
coincidence,
can't
you
hear
know, I
you.
have just finished reading that book.
Oh, well,
I have just
excellent.
finished reading that book. Yes, I spent
Fantastic.
like
What
3 days in a row to finish that book.
That's great. And
300 pages. So I nearly spend like nearly 100 pages per day.
fantastic. Wow, 100
It's very
pages per day.
interesting, you know. They talk about the
Right?
simplicity. Yeah.
Right? Where and also the unexpected. So something
Yes.
like, what I loved his story. He talks about so who is more dangerous, Bambi or Jaws, right? The deer or a shark? And everybody said, well, of course, sharks are more dangerous.
Yes.
Well, it turns out sharks kill like what 20 maximum 20 people in a year or something, and deer in the United States alone 200 people die from car accident, right? So whoa, it's shocking. Yeah, so I'm really glad you read that book. I highly recommend that book. It has all those 6 things. But as I said, I'm going to make mine 3. So the 3 is use the power of 3. Second is this success. And third is what probably some of your viewers have probably seen before, but it's KISS. So keep it short and simple. Keep it short and simple. It is not easy to give a simple talk. It's not easy to write a really good, powerful children's book, right? Like if it were, everybody would do it. So what we want to do is get our message easy to follow, easy to understand, easy to remember. The way we do that is in the words we choose and where we put them. So that's why this third V very important. I mean, yeah, I want to make a positive impact, so I care about what they see, right? And I want to make a positive impact with my voice so they can catch my passion, my enthusiasm, or my thoughtfulness, whatever I'm aiming for. But the actual content is huge. I want your audience today to remember 3 V's: what you say, how you sound, how you look. I want all that to be remembered. If you're giving a talk on cryptocurrencies, or if you're giving a talk on whatever it is, of course, you want that content. And the difficulty in this simple one, let's just spend a little bit of time on simple because it is the third. It's keep it short and simple. And simple is the first of the Heath brothers' success formula. Simple. How do you make it simple, right? We got to find the easier word to explain what I'm trying to explain. And I need to remember, you probably remember this from his first chapter in the book, the curse of knowledge. It's really difficult to remember what it was like not to know something, right? Especially if you've talked about it a lot. So I talk about verbal, vocal, visual all the time. It's easy for me to just quickly go into it and remember, okay, why is this the important ones? And how do we remember? So we need to remember what it's like when we weren't expert or when we didn't know. That's the challenge. And I somehow lost So Peep. I lost you. Uh-oh. Come back. Come back.
Well, sorry, Andrew.
It's okay. I
Actually,
lost you
there's
for a
a
moment.
disconnect of internet. Now I'm getting back.
Okay. Yeah, you're back.
Very sorry. Yeah. And so now we got back to our last question,
Yeah.
regarding how you make the 3C, how you align the
Yeah.
3V, sorry,
3 V's. Yeah.
uh, visual, vocal, and verbal
Right.
together to make sure that you have a very big impact on your communication.
Right. Right. And here's where you bring it all together. And of course, it depends on the presentation situation that you find yourself. If this is a big presentation that has a lot that we call, high stakes talk you're going to give to a large audience, or it's an important meeting with a board of directors, so that's where you need what every musician would do, which is rehearse. Some people say practice. I recommend, I prefer the word rehearse, which is practice as if you're actually doing the presentation. A lot of people think practicing is rereading their notes or reviewing uh, how it looks. They're going to edit it. Yeah, that sounds okay. No, I mean practice like with a video camera on yourself, or at least recording the like with your using a voice memo, ideally video camera and memo. Listen to yourself, watch yourself, so that you can see how you're communicating all of this. That's number one. Number two, the more you do it, the more you will be comfortable with the content. So the way you bring it all together is by knowing the content, being comfortable with the content, and then practicing different deliveries, right? That's what actors do. That's what musicians do. That's what stand-up comedians do. They practice and deliver, often even with a live audience. So the video camera is good for you to see how you see to yourself, but you might also perform in front of family or friends, get them. And then you're going to say, you might say, well, that sounds it's pretty boring. They might get bored if they need to see it twice. Well, think about that. If it's boring, maybe you need to improve the talk, right? I've spoken about 3 V's. This is probably, I don't know, 400 times, 500 times in my life. I hope you're not bored. I'm not bored. Hope your audience is not bored, right? Because there's always something new to get from it. And I'm practicing as best I can all of those techniques or tips and tricks that I've accumulated over a lifetime of this. But it's really knowing that this is an important, very important skill. I know that your viewers, if they get good at this, they're going to go higher in any organization. It's the killer skill, the killer application, you could say. Better presentations, better communication, whether it's one-on-one or inside a group or one-to-many, all of these things. And like I said, it tears me apart when I see how poorly it's being done sometimes. I mean, there was one person, one of the leaders yesterday, jumped on the camera, and the camera was like aiming straight at the ceiling. There's no good light. It's horrible. Why would you do this to yourself? We would never go outside, go to a meeting, but I'm just going to wear my underwear, or I'm going to wear a tie tied totally incorrectly. But now people come onto the camera and they don't even think about, oh wait, where's the frame? Oh, am I too close? Am I too far? All these things. That's what people are seeing now, right? If we're in this pandemic, they're seeing us on a screen. So let's remember that part of it. How you bring it all together is by getting comfortable with your content, practicing, getting feedback from yourself and others, and going out and doing it again, even when it's uncomfortable. Did that hit it?
Hey, yes, really. Thank you very much, Andrew, for sharing all these tips regarding the 3V of communicating. And I really highly appreciate, and I hope that our audience also appreciate, and
I hope so.
will continue to keep on practicing. Yeah,
very much. I hope
skill.
So. I truly hope so. And look, it went more than the 30 minutes, and here I was success. So I know there is a lot more. Please do, check out videos. I did write, here's a quick book, Get a Grip on Presentations. You can find that book.
Oh, very good.
But also the Heath brothers, that Made to Stick, fantastic book, and interviews. You can see them on YouTube. Just keep and please put it into practice. Like, actually do this. We know what makes a boring or a better presentation. We want our audience not to be bored. We want our audience not to be confused. So let's hit that sweet spot.
So we keep practice, and practice.
Yes. There you go. See, that was the power of 3. Perfect. Thank you, Sophie, so much. Great seeing you. Look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you, Andrew, for sharing this. And once again, happy anniversary.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye from Phnom Penh.
Goodbye from Tokyo.